If you want to skip buddy time and go right to the horror game itself, go to the timestamp right here. Hey friends, I'm really happy to see you. It's time for a very disturbing adventure together. Today we're playing a horror visual novel called Seed. It's got like 20 different endings, a bunch of gory deaths. This is going to be awesome. Before we get started with the playthrough itself though, of course we gotta have buddy time. And for today's buddy time, I want to focus on 3 words that have really been resonating with me recently. And that is, why not you? Why not you? I think it's very easy for us to get discouraged with ourselves, especially when it comes to the things we like to spend our time doing. And sometimes there are even very lofty dreams attached to these habits and hobbies. When you're trying to be realistic and thinking down on yourselves in regards to these dreams, it's very easy to be dismissive and say things like, oh, well, that's just a dream. I'm never going to be able to do something like that, of course. There's no chance I could achieve that. But why? Why not you? Someone has to achieve it, right? You don't think you're special enough? You don't think you bring something unique enough to the table? The truth is, friends, you as well as I have the same ability to learn and grow as everybody else. It's quite literally a superpower to learn from mistakes and events in our lives. Friends, the next time you dismiss that dream in your head, just think, why not you? I get discouraged over a lot of the things I spend my time doing, including the channel, and when I do, I kind of repeat that mantra in my head, but in a different way. Before Super Saiyan 3 Goku uses Super Dragon Fist on Hirudegarn, he says, if I don't, who will? If you don't put everything you have into your passion, if you don't chase that dream, who will? It has to be you, because no one on earth could do it the same way you would. I love you all, and I hope you're safe. Here is Seed. Okay friends, we played a horror game called The Cloud last video, and it turns out that same developer has another horror visual novel with 20 different endings called Seed. Here we go. I am super excited. This is one of my favorite genres of horror games to experience with all of you, trying to find all of the different disturbing endings. I love it. It's fun to piece together the story with you guys too. That's like something I really don't take for granted. I enjoy the hell out of that. Here we go. In a secluded town in a far-off land, the Underwood farm stood as a vital source of sustenance. Generations of Underwoods had cultivated the land, nurturing it into a bountiful provider. However, following a night of a ferocious storm, they abruptly commissioned the construction of a massive, enigmatic shed. A shed? The structure rose around their plantation, shrouding it in complete secrecy. Contrary to the townsfolk's expectations, the farm's new, unseen methods yielded an astonishing increase in crop production. Fruits and vegetables grew at an unprecedented rate, their vitality seemingly enhanced by the total absence of light. Huh. So they built this giant shed to basically do something to rapidly increase the growth of their crops? The farm flourished, and its produce found its way into every table in town, including your own. Curiosity piqued. You sliced it open. The flesh was fresh, but the internal structure was disturbingly abnormal. An unnatural design that sent a shiver down your spine. A sense of dread of something profoundly wrong settled over you. And so your quest to unravel this mystery began. Looks like we got some strange fruits. A day of rest stretches before you, but the tension in your gut screams for action. You know the guards. They're good, solid men, but they understand the world in simple terms. A misshapen tomato, even one with strange markings, won't rouse them to action. They'd likely tell you to take it to the priest or perhaps the herbalist. You can't shake the feeling that something deeply wrong is happening, something beyond the mundane. You need to understand the source of this unsettling change in the fruit, and quickly. So we have the options of the church, our local doctor will know, or the hermit in the woods should know. Okay. Place your bets, gamers. What are we thinking? Will the church know? The doctors? Oh, couldn't be any of them. It's got to be the random hermit living alone in the woods. But let's start with the church. How about that? Love the art in this game, as I did with The Cloud. Absolutely love it. The priest's welcome is warm, and you unfold the tale of the strange fruit. But his brow furrows with skepticism. He sees a spoiled crop, perhaps, or a new and troubling pest. Those would be the most likely outcomes. In my opinion, of course. He does not see the hand of something unholy. Father, you continue, leaning closer, lowering your voice conspiratorially. Have you seen insects shun a fruit? Even the flies avoid it as if it were poison. And have you considered the timing? The harvest has been bountiful, yes, but it has not also coincided with a change in the town, a subtle shift in temperament. Even the animals avoid this fruit. See, that's bizarre. Even the animals avoid this fruit. What could be the source of this fruit's growth? It is a strange pattern, for sure. Huh. Those scavengers of rot shunned the seemingly perfect fruit? A creeping dread tightened his grip. This was no mere blight, but a mockery of nature, a subtle poison designed to deceive. A shiver ran down his spine. The thought was blasphemous, yet clung to him like a shroud. He would inform the Count, but tonight he would walk the shadowed path to the Underwood farm. He would offer prayers and seek the source of this perversion of the harvest. What will you do now? The question hung in the air, heavy with unspoken dread. So he's gonna try to look into things himself. I'm gonna find something to eat here. What is this? A big tree? Looks like a big belly or something. Or maybe like a giant walnut? I don't know. Driven by a worry of tainted crops, you venture into the woods, seeking anything edible that hasn't been grown on the farm. You find some wild berries and herbs, a meager but necessary bounty. As you forge deeper into the woods, a tantalizing aroma drifts on the breeze. It's sweet, buttery, like something baking a rich delicacy in the heart of the forest. You push through the thicket and emerge into a small glade. In the center stands a majestic tree. This is a tree? Looks like it's about to burst. What in the billy am I even looking at here? Its branches reaching toward the sky like gnarled arms. Beneath it, nestled among the leaves, is the source of the scent, a massive beehive. Well, we gotta get the honey. Are they gonna sting us, or are these the nice bees? I can never tell which bees are the bumbling kind, or the humbling kind. And I have been stung many a time in my life, friends. Trust me, I am familiar with bees. I have a bright green car. Bees love that car, and I have been stung betwixt the seat and the seat belt by a bee before. Let's just say that. You approach the giant hive looming before you like some grotesque monument. With a growing sense of unease, you begin to claw at the hive's rough surface with your bare hands. The material is surprisingly brittle, crumbling under your fingers. As you tear away, a chilling sight greets you. A sea of tiny eyes stares back at you. Countless bees, an army of miniature soldiers packed tightly within the hive, their bodies motionless, their silence more menacing than any swarm, waiting, poised to defend their domain. The air within the hive seems to hum with a suppressed energy. Oh, they're not buzzing? That's weird. So even the bees are acting strange. Run back to town. Oh, you run back in the direction of town, but the bees are upon you. A buzzing cloud of fury. The first sting is a jolt of pure agony, a white-hot needle piercing your flesh. Adrenaline surges, making you run faster, but the swarm is relentless. Dizziness washes over you, your vision blurs, the world spins. Your heart pounds in your chest. Eventually, the ground rushes up to meet you. You fall into a soft grass, a cruel mockery of comfort. The swarm engulfs you, a living blanket of stinging, buzzing horror. The world fades to black, the last sensation, 1,000 burning needles piercing your skin. Okay, I'm going to run deeper into the woods this time. I don't even know if that's going to help. I'm sure they're probably still going to sting me. That screaming sound effect. What the hell? You burst into the woods, the trees a desperate hope, a fragile barrier against the pursuing swarm. But they're relentless. The buzzing grows louder and closer. The first sting is a jolt of pure agony, a burning brand on your skin. You stumble onward, driven by the searing pain, knowing that stopping means certain death. Is this a chance for me to survive? The swarm is upon you, more stings, each one a fresh wave of torment. Okay. This is all the same. Through the haze of pain and disorientation, your peripheral vision catches a glimpse of water. A small lake, your last desperate chance. Hope flickers within you, a fragile ember in the face of overwhelming terror. The lake looms closer, a dark, shimmering promise, but the swarm is closing in. The last thing you see is the water rushing up to meet you, the dark surface shimmering in the fading light. The last thing you hear is the splash as your body plunges into the cold embrace of the lake, a final desperate attempt to escape the relentless sting of death. Rescue. What? What is this? You awaken to a crushing weight, your body leaden. Darkness envelops you, a thick, suffocating blanket. A sliver of light spills in from an open doorway nearby, a beacon in the oppressive gloom. With a groan, you push yourself up, your muscles screaming in protest. You crawl, drag yourself toward the light, the rough ground scraping against your skin. Emerging from the darkness, you find yourself in the woods. A chilling figure sits motionless on a nearby rock, a silhouette against the dim light. It's the Witch of the Woods, an unsettling blend of shadow and cloth, her human form obscured, almost spectral. Contrary to your expectations, it was she who pulled you from the lake, who tended to your wounds. Mercy, it seems, resides beneath that chilling exterior. So what are all these guys, then? She rises to greet you, her movements fluid and silent. Her voice, when she speaks, is low and resonant. She explains that she used a poultice of rare herbs, a concoction that countered the swelling from the bee stings and allowed you to breathe while your body fought the overwhelming toxin. The side effect, she says, was a deep, unnatural sleep. You've been unconscious for days. As she leads you to the forest edge, she recounts a tale of horror. One night she heard screams echoing from the town, cries of terror and agony that abruptly ceased. From that night forward, the town and the fields, they were changed. Something monstrous had taken root within the hearts of the people, twisting them into feral beasts driven by an insatiable hunger. At the edge of the woods, they stand in rows, silent, menacing horde. They are held back by some unseen force, some magic that the witch yields. You and she, it seems, are the last survivors in this desolate, cursed land. Despair washes over you. You rub your eyes as if the gesture could wipe away the nightmare, but the horror remains, stark and unyielding. "Come," the witch says, her gaze piercing. "Your body must be cleansed of the taint that corrupted the town. The situation is dire, but we will find a way." You escape the curse that transformed the townspeople into monsters, but now a new duty falls upon you, to learn from the enigmatic witch, to unravel the mystery of the curse, and to find a way to restore your ravaged world. So these are all of the people turned into monsters by the strange fruit, which we don't know what changed the fruit, what caused it to grow, and what is the point of the shed? This answers some of our questions, but unfortunately leaves us with more. This time I'm not even going to bother with messing with the bees, and we're just going to head back home. Oh. Weary from your efforts, you return home. The fate of the crops now rests with others, though a gnawing unease lingers in your heart. Dawn breaks, and with it, a disquieting tremor runs through the town. The streets echo with the hushed whispers and anxious faces. The news spread like wildfire. The priest and his acolytes have vanished. The church doors stand bolted. All of this happened while I was gone? Word has it that the bishop himself will send inquisitors to delve into this dark mystery. Oh, they must have found something disturbing. Could you have prevented this? Oh, that's not a good ending at all. Okay, now let's say inside is shaped like a pentagram. Maybe the priest will do something different with that information. The exposed flesh of the fruit, clearly visible, mirrored the grotesque contours of an icon. Shock rippled across his face. "This changes everything," he murmured, his voice barely audible. "I will speak with the family in the first hours of the night." A fragile sense of relief flickered within you, quickly extinguished by the persistent tendrils of dread. Something felt deeply wrong, and polite inquiries seemed woefully inadequate against the darkness you sensed lurking beneath the surface. Join the priest. The art in this game is awesome. I love how everything is kind of like... It almost looks like the color of a plum or a tomato or something. It's like the whole thing is made out of the flesh of the fruit, and they've kind of used that in the artistic expression of this game. It's really cool. That very night, under the watchful gaze of the encroaching darkness, you encounter the men of the church as they made their way to the Underwood farm. Concerned, you offered to accompany them, presenting yourself as the witness, the first to raise the alarm about the farm's unsettling produce. The priest, though hesitant, ultimately acquiesced. His assistants thought of an extra body as a buffer against potential hostility. A warning hung in the air, a whisper of unseen dangers lurking within the farm's shadowed boundaries. To the farm we go. These routes are completely different in this game. I mean, I love choose-your-own-adventure books from back when I was a kid. I used to love reading them, and this really feels like that brought to life. You knock on the farmhouse door. A maid answers, her smile wide. She praises God, her voice filled with profound relief as you arrive. But the relief, it feels too intense. A flicker of unease pricks your senses. Why such a strong reaction? You step inside, the entire household staff gathers to greet you. Their smiles mirror the maids, their bows deeply respectful. They treat you as if you were dignitaries, royalty, figures of immense importance. Their eyes, though, hold a strange glint, a mixture of relief and something else. Fear? Desperation, perhaps? Is everything fine? Oh. I don't know, you tell me. They exchange uneasy glances, their eyes darting away from yours. What do they know? Avoiding direct contact. They claim to be weary from a long day's labor, their words a rehearsed mantra. Mr. Underwood must answer your questions, but their insistence feels forced, a flimsy shield against the truth they are desperately trying to conceal. You can feel it in the air, thick and suffocating. They're hiding something. The priest, sensing the tension, suggests a communal prayer. Perhaps he thinks the presence of the Lord will bring peace to this troubled place. Let's do prayer right now. The air crackles with unspoken fear. You join the priest in prayer, the words a shared plea against the encroaching darkness. The chorus of voices rises and falls, a fragile shield against the unknown. A figure bursts into the light, a short man dressed in dark, disheveled clothing. He collapses to his knees, a torrent of fragmented words spilling from his lips. He begs for forgiveness, for help, his voice choked with desperation. It's Edmund Underwood, the owner of the farm. Continue. The priest helps him to his feet, his face etched with concern. The air is thick with a sense of impending doom. You exchange uneasy glances with the others. Underwood's words tumble out in a rush, barely coherent. My wife, Nadia, she's unwell, he gasps. We needed help. Desperate. She was weakening, fading. I feared, I knew she wouldn't survive. I called Luca, the doctor. I didn't know, I swear. I didn't want this evil in my house, and I'm terrified that you'll destroy them all. Try to calm him down. He sounds absolutely panicked, so maybe he made a deal with some sort of being that he shouldn't have? I don't know, that's what it seems like to me. But what does this have to do with the fruit? I guess these are farmers. We're gonna have to figure this out. We're piecing this story together, friends. And of course, feel free to let me know what your predictions are as we play. I love reading them as I go through the comments and, kind of experience the game again through your eyes. You help the priest support the trembling man. Things will be better now, you say softly, your voice a calming beam in the midst of the chaos. Have faith. Your quiet reassurance seems to steady him. He takes a deep, shuddering breath, and some of the color returns to his face. We came to pray for the farm, the priest says, his gaze searching for the fields. We sensed something was amiss. We know nothing of what has transpired here. Can you tell us what has happened? A flicker of fear crosses Mr. Underwood's face. He had braced himself for condemnation, for the church's judgment. He had imagined the flames, the accusations of consorting with darkness. The priest's simple question, devoid of accusation, takes him by surprise. A hesitant relief washes over him, quickly followed by the crushing weight of his secret. He glances around at the faces of the villagers, their eyes filled with worry and suspicion. He opens his mouth to speak, then hesitate, the words caught in his throat. The truth is a heavy burden, a dark secret that threatens to consume him. He looks back at the priest, his eyes pleading, searching for some sign of understanding, some glimmer of forgiveness. He knows he must confess, but the fear of what he has done, the horror of what he has unleashed, threatens to paralyze him. The silence stretches, heavy with unspoken dread. Underwood's pain. Nadia, my wife, is pregnant, but she wasn't well. Weaker and weaker she became as the babe grew within her. Luca, the doctor, tried his remedies, but nothing changed. As a last resort, he spoke of old books, of forgotten knowledge. I cared not for his studies, only for her health. One night he came and demanded she stand in the rain. I shielded her as best I could while he chanted from his book, drawing strange symbols in the air. For an hour this went on. This is a doctor? Luca the doctor? This doesn't sound like something a doctor would do. His words grew faster and louder. He touched her forehead and the world exploded. A blinding flash, a force that threw us all aside. I scrambled to Nadia, but her body, their bodies, she and our unborn child were mixed with something else. I saw her scream, convulse, stretch, transform into something unholy, something that crawled from the deepest pits of hell. I wanted to kill Luca that night, but he threatened us. He said his death would kill her too, and if the town learned of her condition, He would find a way to destroy her and all of us. We swore a blood oath of silence. He told us what we must do to keep her hidden, to keep her safe. She would become the life of the crops. What? We concealed her while the shed was built, but as the days passed, she changed. Her humanity withered. She could no longer speak, only utter a guttural dialect we don't understand. She became violent, a danger to everyone, except me. I feel like I've unleashed hell upon this town, but I couldn't destroy her, nor our child. Now, they are one. The farmer falls silent, head bowed, awaiting judgment, but the priest's face is grim, not with condemnation, but with a terrible understanding. He spoke the truth, the priest says, his voice ringing with newfound resolve. He sought to save his wife and child, and was deceived by the whispers of evil. We must act, we must go to her, and in the name of the Lord break this unholy curse. Our faith will shatter the works of hell. Agree with them.
Well, okay.
Is this what the being looks like? The merging of his wife and their child? Oh my god. You lead the procession to the shed's heavy wooden gates, the staff trailing behind, their lanterns casting long, dancing shadows. Confidence fills you. Tonight, you believe a miracle will unfold. Heads held high, you push open the gates and step into the darkness. The air within the shed is thick with an unnatural stillness, a silence that presses against your ears. The scent of damp earth and something else, something fairly metallic, hangs heavy in the air. Blood? The lantern light flickers nervously, revealing rows of crops that seem to pulse with strange, unnatural vitality. An unsettling feeling creeps over you, a prickling unease that whispers of something hidden, something wrong. From the deepest shadows, a shape begins to coalesce. It emerges slowly, a hellish form materializing against the dim light. Well, excuse you. An amalgamation of flesh, stretched and contorted, draped in pallid skin. Limbs, unnaturally elongated, reach and writhe, grasping for unseen prey. The central mass is a grotesque fusion of two humanoid figures melded together in a nightmarish union, their expressions a mask of profound agony. The upper head, crowned with a matted hair, begins to shake and convulse, emitting a chorus of tortured screams and guttural cries. That's the wife. God. The lower head, its features twisted into a mask of malevolent fury, spews forth a torrent of guttural sounds, a language that scrapes against your sanity. Thick, sinewy tendrils erupt from its lower body, anchoring it to the earth and the blighted crops. They lash out like living whips, pulsing with a dark vitality. Red field. Oh my god! You're commanded not to yield to fear. Armed with a rake to defend the priest as he chants in Latin. The monster's tentacles lash out, blurring whips of flesh inching closer. You parry with the rake, the flimsy wood a pitiful defense against such raw power. This unholy ritual must be stopped, even if it costs you all. The creature advances, and so do you, a desperate dance of survival. Ooh. Rakes, brooms, daggers flash, deflecting tentacles more by luck than skill. We should have brought, better weaponry here. The air vibrates with the beast's monstrous roars, a cacophony that assaults your senses. A tentacle slices the air to your right with a sickening crack. Something wet and warm splatters your face. You instinctively wipe it away. A chunk of lung, still faintly steaming, clings to your hand. It's from a worker, nearly bisected by a tentacle. Shock paralyzes you. The world shrinks to the wet crimson stain on your palm. Silence descends, broken only by the creature's roars. Your numbers dwindle, and flight is no longer an option. Too many have fallen. Survive, you whisper to yourself, a mantra against the encroaching terror. I only have to survive until the priest breaks this curse. But even as the words leave your lips, something rolls into view behind you. The priest's severed head, eyes wide and vacant, stare up at you. Hope evaporates, leaving only the cold weight of despair. You collapse to your knees, exhaustion and terror washing over you. A tentacle descends, a swift, merciless strike. It cleaves through your chest, the world exploding in agony. Your last moments are filled with the searing pain and the horrifying vision of the blood-soaked floor. Wow. All of that, the longest path we have ever gone on in this game, or even the cloud for that matter, ends in death. Okay, I think we need to stop them from even going into the barn in the first place. I'll halt them. We need something more powerful. Wait, you shout, your voice cutting through the murmurs. I fear we're about to make a terrible mistake. The root of this evil, it isn't in Nadia, it lies with our local doctor, Luca. Your words ignite a firestorm of anger and fear. The crowd surges, their focus shifting from the shed to the doctor. Find him! Someone roars, and the cry is taken up by the mob. Luca must be found before dawn. The Underwood farm, now a force of righteous fury, spills onto the streets, lanterns and torches ablaze, casting flickering shadows that dance with the urgency of the moment. They march toward Luca's house, a tide of vengeance. The door of the doctor's house is splintered by a collective assault of boots and fists. But the house is empty. A cold dread grips you. He's gone. There! A shout erupts from the street. A figure silhouetted against the moonlight is fleeing toward the edge of town, a bag clutched in his hand. He's on foot, no horse, desperate to escape unseen. The chase begins. The crowd surges after him, a wave of shouting, cursing humanity. Some hurl rocks, others brandish makeshift weapons. Luca, abandoning the roads, plunges into the dark embrace of the forest, gambling on the fear that grips the townsfolk. But you, fueled by a terrible determination, I love that, ignore the fear of the woods. You follow, your eyes fixed on the glint of the priest's ornaments, the only beacon in the encroaching darkness. Is this a good thing? Exhaustion weighs heavily on you. As you and the small group stumble into the moonlit glade, Luca stands there, a manic gleam in his eye. You wouldn't understand, he gasps, clutching a worn book. I'm creating a better life. No more disease. Before you can react, he flips open the book and begins chanting in that alien tongue. The air vibrates, the ground trembles beneath your weary knees. Luca's voice rises, a feverish crescendo, as he falls into a disturbing trance. He raises the heavy book above his head, a predatory intensity contorting his features. Thwack! A dark arrow seemingly from nowhere pierces both of Luca's arms. The book falls, his concentration shattered. He staggers, trying to flee, but another arrow finds its mark, this time in his leg. A figure emerges from the shadows of the woods, cloaked in mystery and dread. A dark, ancient robe billows around the figure, obscuring head and face. A bow of dark wood is held steadily. The witch! The whispers ripple through the group, fear making them crawl away. The figure, arrows still nocked, remains focused on Luca. Let it be known, men of the church, the figure's voice echoes, strangely amplified, that my beliefs may differ from yours and you may despise me, but I will not tolerate this evil within my woods. This man's actions are not magic, they are an abomination. Confusion ripples through the churchmen. They had always believed that the witch was a force of darkness, yet she stands against this man, this purveyor of true evil. He cursed a pregnant woman, the priest says, his voice steady despite the turmoil within him. He destroyed a family, threatened the lives of all. Do you know why? He traffics in things that should not be, the figure replies. His deeds are foul in the eyes of any power, any belief, and men like him, they will not break their curses, not even under torture. Luca, writhing on the ground, lets out a chilling laugh. The figure raises the bow, the string taut. Thwang! The arrow flies, piercing Luca's chest. His laughter turns into a strangled gasp of horror. His curses are broken only by his death, the figure explains. But he will try to convince you otherwise, to make you believe that greater horrors will follow if you harm him. With that, the figure turns and melts back into the shadows of the forest, leaving the churchmen and the villagers in stunned silence. The forbidden books remain untouched, left for the church to study and understand. As Luca breathes his last, a change ripples through the air. Nadia's transformed body reverts to its human form, cradling a newborn infant in her arms. The Underwood family is free, the land is cleansed, and the Witch of the Woods, she becomes a figure of whispered respect, a guardian of balance, her motives forever shrouded in mystery. That is such a good ending. I imagine that's probably the best ending. Everyone is brought back to normal, the crops are turned to normal, and this witch that everyone, was assuming these horrible things about is actually like a protector of nature, in a way. And I think that's pretty beautiful. Okay, I'm curious how some of the other options change the results. Let's go sneak by and watch the priest. So now we're looking at the farm from kind of like an outside view here. Night fell, cloaking the world in shadows. Hidden amongst the trees, you watched as the priest and his small retinue approached the Underwood farmhouse. They knocked, the sound echoing unnaturally loud in the still night. The door swung open, revealing a maid. She greeted the priest, her voice surprisingly bright, was full of an almost unsettling joy as she ushered them inside. You hadn't seen such unbridled happiness in a long time, especially not in this place under these circumstances. It sent a shiver down your spine, more chilling than any icy wind. Keep your distance. Silence hung heavy for a long time, broken only by the faint, distant murmur of prayer. It drifted on the still air, a sound of unsettling tranquility. No discord, no tension, just the peaceful rhythm of shared devotion. Was it genuine? A comforting ritual in the face of the unknown? Or a carefully crafted facade masking some deeper, darker truth? The thought coiled in your gut, cold and unsettling. They moved deeper. I'm just gonna go back home. Let's see if anything changes. Weary from your efforts, you return home. Dawn breaks, and news has spread that the priest and his acolytes have vanished. The church doors stand bolted in ominous silence emanating from within. Word has it that the bishop himself will send inquisitors to delve into this dark mystery. Oh, this is the one where we are curious if we can, or if we should have done something different. A cold dread grips you, a chilling guilt haunts you, a venomous whisper in the quiet corners of your mind. The shadows lengthen, and a sense of impending doom settles over the town. Dark and bloody times are surely upon you all. Let's get closer. As you inch closer to the nearest window, the murmur of voices drifts toward you. More servants are arriving, their greetings effusive, their eagerness to hear the priest's words almost unsettling. The sound of prayer rises and falls, a chorus of voices filled with an almost desperate fervor. They pray not just for the farm, but for something more, something unspoken. The intensity of their devotion, their almost desperate need for divine intervention, sends a shiver down your spine. Something is deeply wrong here. Keep listening. There's a heavy thud followed by the sound of a body collapsing against the ground. Mr. Underwood has arrived, bursting from the direction of the farm. His cries are heart-wrenching, a raw outpouring of pain and regret. He repeats certain phrases over and over, his voice rising and falling in waves of anguish. Is it guilt that drives him? A profound remorse for some terrible act committed against the crops, against the land? Go around the house. Now we're sneaking around. What on earth? Suddenly, the door swings open, transitioning into a deafening roar, a guttural sound that resonates deep within your soul. The vibrations are so intense, they make you clutch at your stomach. The air crackles with an unseen energy. Screams erupt from within the shed, mixed with the splintering of wood and the frantic cries of men. Chaos has been unleashed. The moment of decision is upon you. Do you risk everything to try and save the priest, or do you follow the primal instinct of self-preservation and flee? Get inside. Now we're face to face with this guy again. Or this thing, I should say. You find the nearest window, your heart pounding against your ribs. Ignoring the searing pain as glass shards bite into your fists, you smash through, adrenaline numbing the wound. You scramble inside, landing in a lavishly decorated room. Ignoring its opulence, you burst into the corridor, dodging panicked employees as they flee deeper into the house, seeking any escape from the terror that has erupted. You reach the doorway leading to the fields. The scene that unfolds before you is a nightmare made real. The men of the church, their faces contorted with fear and desperation, struggle against something unseen, their daggers flashing uselessly in the dim light. Bodies litter the ground, twisted and broken, so we're arriving late. This thing's already wiped out most of the people here. Chunks of flesh, glistening and raw, are scattered amongst the crops, a grotesque harvest. And in the shadows, at the very center of the massive shed, something moves, something dark and monstrous, slowly crawling, inching closer to the flickering lantern light. Flickering, I should say. "Father, take the men and get out," you yell, your voice raw with urgency. But the priest, his face set in grim determination, doesn't move. "It's my duty," he says, his voice barely a whisper, yet filled with unwavering resolve. "I can't allow this child of hell, to taint our food, to poison our very souls." He begins to murmur a prayer, his words a desperate plea against the encroaching darkness. The thing in the shadows continues its slow, deliberate advance, its form still obscured, but its presence radiating an aura of pure malevolence. Oh my god. This game is like super violent. Good lord. Against the dying light, a monstrous form coalesces. A blasphemous parody of nature, flesh draped in pallid, stretched skin. Unnatural limbs writhe, grasping, its central mass a nightmarish fusion of two humanoids, melded in unholy union, their expressions a testament to agony. Ugh. Cover your mouth next time. The upper head shakes, emitting tortured screams. The lower, features contorted in malevolent fury, spews guttural sounds, a language that scrapes against your sanity. Thick tendrils erupt. Okay, this we've already read. A sickening realization: this thing is the thing that tainted the harvest. You seize a fallen rake, its tines now pitifully inadequate, and charge. You swing it with all your might. The rake connects with a sickening thud, but the impact is absorbed. The points buckle against its taut hide. Too close, those gargantuan tentacles, each longer than your body, close around you with terrifying speed. A crushing pressure builds. One moment, desperate courage. The next, you're lifted, bones groaning. Hurled against the stone wall, the air knocked from your lungs. Before you can rise, tendrils snare your legs, yanking you toward the opposite wall. The world explodes in blinding pain, stretched, pulled, torn. Your last sensation, the sickening rending of flesh and bone. Then, mercifully, darkness descends. What happens if we forget the priest entirely and just sneak inside the property ourselves? Oh, we get a good look at what it actually looks like. I was trying to picture it in my head using just the descriptive words and trying to build what this place in this shed. Night deepened, and as the Underwood household bustled with an unsettling, cheerful welcome for the men of the church, you slipped through an open window, melting into the shadows within. The truth lay hidden beneath, and you intended to unearth it. Better to trust your own senses, your own instincts. The house staff were focused on the newly arrived guests. Their attention was a convenient cover for your clandestine investigation. Let's, stick to the shadows. Oh. They made art for everything in this game. Heart pounding, you slip out of the room, darting down the hallway. You move quickly, silently, from one office to another, deeper and deeper into the opulent, yet strangely deserted house. If anyone glimpses you, they likely assume you're a new servant, hurrying about your duties. But your purpose is far different. A growing unease gnaws at you. The silence of the house is unnerving, broken only by the soft pad of your own footsteps. You finally reach the double doors that lead to the massive sheds. 4 guards stand watch, their faces grim, their eyes watchful. Feigning a confidence you don't feel, you approach them. The priest has arrived, you say, your voice steady. He's offering a moment of prayer. You're welcome to join him. The guards practically jump at the chance to leave their post. Their relief is palpable, almost desperate. They practically sprint toward the front of the house. Yeah, I imagine. You slip through the now unguarded double doors, a chill prickling your skin. The air here is different. Heavier, charged with something unseen. A single candle flickers nearby, casting long distorted shadows that dance across the rough-hewn walls. You light a lantern, the flame pushing back the encroaching shadows. They cling to the corners, whispering secrets. With a deep breath, you grasp the thick, heavy wooden gates. They groan in protest as you pull them open, the sound echoing through the cavernous space beyond. To the crops. Oh, we're getting a close-up. Ew. Against the dying light, a monstrous form coalesces, a blasphemous parody of nature, flesh draped in pallid, stretched skin. Unnatural limbs writhe, grasping. Its central mass, a nightmarish fusion of 2 humanoids melded in unholy union. Their expressions a testament to agony. The upper head shakes, emitting a tortured scream. The lower features contorted in malevolent fury, spews guttural sounds. Okay, we've already read this. They're just describing the beast. You seize a fallen rake, its tines now pitifully inadequate, and charge. You swing it with all your might. The rake connects with a sickening thud, but the impact is absorbed. The points buckle against its taut hide, too close. Those gargantuan tentacles, each longer than your body, close around you with terrifying speed. Okay, we've read this. Crushing pressure, so he just squishes us once again. We did get a bit of a close-up, though, which is cool. Back at the start of the game, I'm going to choose the Our Local Doctor Will Know option. Hello, Mr. Gamer. Dr. Luca greets you in his office, a cluttered room filled with the pungent aroma of herbs. He closes the lid of a jar filled with leeches, checking to ensure they are well fed, but his attention is already focused on you and your explanation. He takes the tomato from you, turning it slowly in his hands, and brings it to his eye. He peers at it for a moment, then lowers it, a flicker of recognition in his gaze. This, he says, his voice low and intrigued, is quite unique. He continues to examine it while asking, "What do you make of it?" The Underwood soil is poisoned, they're using chemicals, or this is the work of evil. I'll say soil is poisoned. Precisely, the doctor exclaimed. You have a keen mind. My own suspicions were leaning in a similar direction. These recent renovations, digging so deep, disturbing the earth. It's likely they unearthed something, some dormant chemical compound, perhaps. The tomatoes, with their extensive root system, would readily absorb it. Ingenious in a perverse way. A palatable poison delivered slowly, insidiously. And? That can't be right, right? A week later, a sack of gold coins lands on your doorstep. A note, unsigned, thanked you for your service in keeping the town healthy and safe. A deep unease settled over you as you ventured outside. The town felt different, muted. Everyone moved with a strange weariness, their eyes dull. The streets, once vibrant, were now a drab gray. The laughter of children was absent, replaced by an unsettling quiet. From this void, a single haunting question echoed. Did I really save this place? I guess everyone has been transformed by the fruit. Interesting. They're using chemicals. The doctor walks over to a wooden chest near the shelves of instruments and returns with a glass bottle filled with a viscous, murky liquid. This, he explains, holding up a bottle, must be applied to the soil just beyond the Underwood farm near the edge of the woods. Spread it liberally over the grass and the ground. We must then wait for several hours to see if the soil changes color. The procedure must be done at night. Can you perform this test for me? I'll go tonight. We got our bottle here. Keep this as a secret, the doctor warns, his voice low and serious. The Underwoods, they've risen to power quickly. Men like that can be ruthless. They wouldn't hesitate to silence anyone who threatens their livelihood. You leave, moving like a phantom through the twilight streets. Under the silvery gaze of the moon, the Underwood farm loomed in the distance. You spread the mixture across the grass, over the plants, saturating the soil. Movement. Ooh, what is that? A bear? A muskrat? Some kind of creature? You remain motionless, your senses focused on the liquid's faint ammonia scent. An unnerving stillness descended, as if the world itself had fallen silent. Even the crickets were gone, vanishing into the deep woods. Then a whisper of air stirred behind you, following by the snap of small branches. You whirl around, leaping back as a massive dark silhouette lunges toward you. The silhouette, too, seems surprised by your sudden movement. Instinct took over. You have one last chance. Use your strength. What happened? This is our strength? Is this blood, or are we just taking a little nap? A scream tore from your throat as you lashed out, your fist connecting with the massive shadow. Oh, it is a bear. It was like striking a boulder draped in thick carpet, utterly ineffective. The creature responded in kind, a massive paw-like hand lashing out and slamming into your chest. The force of the blow was devastating. You were sent flying, tumbling like a discarded peel. Agony rippled through you. Your ribs were crushed, and you could barely move. Ooh, he's devouring us. Okay. Punching a bear, unless it's Tekken. This is not Tekken, but if it is Tekken, probably a good strategy. Usually punching a bear, though, not a great idea. A boulder wrapped in cloth is a pretty good way to describe a bear, basically. The bite wasn't a clean slice, but a crushing weight, like a mountain slowly pressing down on your clavicle. The chemical you'd spilled must have attracted it. The massive head shifted, and a scream of pure terror ripped from your throat as your vision began to darken. A huge chunk of you was ripped away, the bear's powerful jaws making it seem effortless. You slip into endless darkness, the world fading into a red haze. I wonder if the doctor gave us that on purpose. Maybe it was like a bear attractant rather than some sort of a chemical mixture? I don't know. Can I run from the bear? It's like running from the bees. Terror lent your speed. You forced your legs to pump, abandoning everything in a desperate flight. Behind you, the sound of your pounding feet mingled with the ragged breath of something vast and powerful. Air exploded from colossal nostrils, a hot, fetid wind at your heels. It was close. It was faster. Why even give me the option? The bear is just gonna devour me, like Winnie the Pooh to a jar of honey. Any chance I could get ready first now that I know there is a bear approaching? Oh, the neighborhood looks so cool. I love the color selection in this game. I've never played a game that has this kind of a color palette. It's so unique in like a disturbing but also, I guess, colorful way. I don't know. It's hard to describe. Discretion is paramount, the doctor said, his voice dropping to a near whisper. The Underwoods, they're powerful men. They've risen quickly, and men like that, they protect their interests fiercely. They wouldn't hesitate to eliminate any threat to their operation. People have vanished before. You understand. The doctor's words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken implications. A shiver traced its path down your spine. You nodded silently, a knot of unease tightening in your stomach. You leave quickly, moving as silently as a wraith, but the doctor's final warning echoed in your mind. People have vanished. Your steps faltered. What if someone had overheard your conversation? What if the Underwoods already knew? Was it safe to walk home? Go home through different streets? You need to avoid attention. You've crossed a line, challenged men whose power was absolute, touched something forbidden. You slipped into your house. All day you remained hidden. Night brought no relief. Sleep eluded you. Instead, your mind raced, replaying your actions, weighed the risks. Was this fear or a desperate call to action? Could you find the courage to do what was right, even if it meant facing them? What the hell happened? Did someone come and kill us? A knock echoes through your home. Refusing to answer, you brace yourself against the door, reinforcing. Your focus was entirely on the door, that you failed to notice the shadow slipping through the window. With brutal precision, the assassin expertly struck you, opening a wound, your blood beginning to spray. The world, already dim, grew colder as life drained from you. You crumpled to the floor. Whoever had done this possessed an intimate knowledge of the human body. I wonder who that could be. Does hiding in the workshop keep me alive? A prickle of unease crawled beneath your skin. Something terrible was coming. You've overstepped, dare to challenge men of terrible power. You bolted for your workshop. All day you hid there, feigning absence from the town. But night brought no peace. Sleep wouldn't come. Instead, you wrestled with your conscience. Was this fear or a necessary warning? Finally, exhaustion won. You crept into the house seeking rest. Any rest. Nope. We just die anyway. Just like the bear. This is the work of evil. There's a rational explanation for all of this. The doctor seems to put his faith on science only. With his assistant being out, he turns to you. Can you help me get a box from the basement? I need tools to examine it more closely. Accept. This looks like a dungeon. What do you mean basement? You nod in agreement and the doctor leads you toward the basement. As you descend the creaking wooden steps, the air grows heavy with the smell of damp earth and something faintly metallic. The basement opens up to a surprisingly large space. The walls are covered with anatomical charts, detailed maps of the human body, some labeled in Latin, others in languages you don't recognize. Shelves are lined with gleaming metal tools. Thick tomes, bound in leather and clasped with metal, stand in neat rows, their titles printed in elegant script. Corpora Stella, Donum de Cheo, Manifestatio et Evocatio. Oh. The doctor explains that these are his reference books, some acquired from distant lands. Jars filled with various chemicals, their labels bearing complex scientific names, sit alongside containers of leeches. The doctor takes a candle from a nearby holder and leads you down a narrow, winding staircase that reeks of strong cleaning solutions. The air grows colder, the silence This is a crazy crypt beneath a doctor's office. Are we not, feeling suspicious about any of this? Like our character? At the bottom of the stairs, he unlocks a heavy metal door, revealing a dark, windowless room. Inside, more shelves line the walls, packed with bottles and jars. In the center of the room sits a large metal chest. It looks incredibly heavy, its surface dull and tarnished. Grab the chest from the bottom? What happened? The moment your fingers close around the box, ready to help lift, a sudden brutal force slammed into your head. Oh, did he knock us out? Darkness swallowed you whole. One moment you were there, the next, nothing. What? Those leeches are the size of a cat. Hello? You awoke in darkness, the chill of stone seeping into your bones. It was a basement lined with shelves overflowing with books and jars, containing grotesque, deformed creatures suspended in viscous liquid. You were bound, lying on the cold, damp floor. Your lips were stitched shut, the work of a surgeon's precise hand. This is the most disturbing ending of all, in my opinion. From the shadows in the south of the room, a procession of shapes crawls towards you. By the flickering candlelight, you could make out their forms, oversized leeches, monstrous and bloated. They reached you and lunged, their movements disturbingly swift, their cold, wet bodies pressed against your legs, piercing your clothing with sickening ease. They were like living giant appendages, oozing a sticky fluid that clung to your skin. Unlike any leeches you've ever encountered, their bites were excruciating. They latched on with terrifying pressure, tearing chunks of flesh away with each suck. They were numerous and voracious, feeding on your blood and flesh as quickly as it became available. As you were consumed, you heard Dr. Luca muttering to himself, his words chilling, something about changing medicine forever. The pain was unbearable. You succumbed to it, your world dissolving into agony. Ugh. Yeah, this is the most disturbing ending for me. Does grabbing the chest by the lid change anything at all? No way. Managed to pry it open with a crack before you could shift your grip and lift. Something inside the chest shifted, slamming against the inner walls with the force of a physical blow. The chest has become a birthing nest for abominations. Slippery slug-like creatures twitching with unsettling speed. Just as you were about to stumble backward, the doctor appeared. He'd locked the door. Okay. Oh, and the leeches still eat me. You desperately try to pull away. Oh, this is a new animation, though. This is awesome. To warn the doctor to run. But he held you fast, his grip surprisingly strong. A chilling realization dawned. He wasn't trying to save you. He was restraining you. The creatures swarmed, leaping onto your legs and back, ignoring the doctor completely. Their cold, wet bodies pressed against you, piercing your clothes with ease. These were no ordinary leeches. Their bites were pure agony, each one tearing away chunks of your flesh with terrifying suction. They were quick, numerous, and ravenous, devouring your blood and flesh as it spilled. As you were being consumed in Dr. Luca's embrace, he whispered in your ear, his voice chillingly calm. I can't allow you to interfere. I'm about to change medicine. Forever. All right, Doc, I'm not going down in your terrifying leech basement dungeon area. What is this? You held out your arm, displaying the angry purple bruise blooming across your bicep. I pulled something earlier this week, you explained. A heavy log. I have to rest this arm. The doctor nodded understandingly and descended into the basement without complaint, leaving you to wait in the cluttered room. Your gaze drifted over the strange assortment of objects that adorned the walls and shelves. Anatomical charts of the human body hung alongside gleaming metal tools. Books in various languages, their titles indecipherable, crowded the shelves next to the bottles filled with strange chemicals, labeled with complex, unfamiliar names. A jar of leeches, presumably for specialized treatments, sat on a nearby table. 3 particularly old books, their covers intricately carved, caught your eye. Okay. You could make out the titles Corpora Stella, Donum Decaio, and Manifestatio et Evocatio. Their meanings, however, remained a mystery. The yellowed pages of the ancient tomes beckoned. A sudden curiosity seized you, a temptation to pluck one from the shelf and delve into its secrets. As soon as your fingers closed around one of the books, you flipped open a page. A heavy blow struck your head. Darkness descended. Okay, and we just get the leech ending once again. When in doubt, check with the hermit in the woods, because the doctor just kept bringing me to his leech torture dungeon. Deep within the woods, a small hut stands shrouded in shadow. By a flickering fire, a figure sits cloaked in the darkness of their own robe. There are only 2 kinds of people who visit me in these woods, a female voice rasped from within the folds of the fabric. Those who seek healing, and those who seek to burn me at the stake. Which are you? You step closer, holding out the tomato. I need your help, your voice trembling. Have you seen anything like this? Ooh. A knife? The hermit witch holds the tomato close to the flickering fire. This, she murmurs, her voice raspy with age. This, I believe I have read of something similar. A flicker of recognition crosses her face. There are ways to ascertain if something is amiss at the Underwood farm. She hands the tomato back to you, her touch surprisingly gentle, and disappears into the depths of her hut. She emerges moments later, holding the largest garlic clove you've ever seen. She breaks the clove in half. The pungent aroma fills the air. Carefully, she touches the exposed flesh of the garlic to the cut surface of the tomato. She waits, her eyes fixed on the point of contact, for what seems like a long moment. When finally she removes the garlic, a small, dark brown dot remains where the clove touched the tomato. It's as if the garlic has burned something within the fruit. This confirms it, she says, her voice low and serious. Something unnatural resides within this tomato, but a more thorough examination is required, and for that, she adds, turning to you, I need your assistance. She reaches within the folds of her robe and retrieves a small, wickedly sharp blade. She passes it quickly through the flames, sterilizing it, then offers it to you, hilt first. A single drop of your blood, she instructs, her voice firm. Trust her, offer your blood. Is it burning? You wince as you carefully slice a small cut on your finger, a bead of blood welling to the surface. Meanwhile, the witch busies herself, placing a clove of the enormous garlic against a rough rock and smashing it with surprising force. The pungent, overempowering aroma of the garlic fills the air, so strong you can practically taste it. It's a variety unlike any you've encountered before. The smell intensifies as you follow her instructions, carefully letting a single drop of your blood fall onto the crushed garlic. The blood reacts instantly, sizzling and bubbling as if it were being heated by an unseen flame. It boils and evaporates quickly, leaving a dark stain on the garlic. The witch watches intently, her hand moving almost instinctively to the shadows that conceal her face. You sense a flicker of worry, a tightening of some unseen muscle in her hidden features. She rubs her forehead, a gesture that seems involuntary, betraying her concern. She turns away abruptly, what is happening, and disappears into the depths of her hut. She emerges moments later carrying a rough wooden bucket. She hands it to you, her expression is serious. "Go north," she instructs, her voice low and urgent. "Fill this bucket with water from the lake, and bring it to me, and fetch me the most perfect Y-shaped branch you can find." Okay, let's go to the lake. We're just going to listen to whatever she says at this point. The lake is a welcome sight, nestled not far from the witch's hut. The water is clear and still, reflecting the sky like a mirror. No large animals drink from its edge at this time. The scene is peaceful, almost serene. Beneath the surface, you can just make out the dark silhouettes of aquatic creatures gliding silently through the depths. Get water from the shore. I like how so many of these scenes are hand-drawn out. It's honestly incredible, and this is one of the coolest examples of pixel art I've seen in a game like this. You filled the bucket and returned to find the witch busily heating a collection of metal scraps, old knives, spoons, forks, anything she could find. Beside the fire, several bottles stood ready, each filled with cloves of potent garlic. "Your task," the witch instructed, pointing to the bottles, "is to fill these with water." She then indicated a larger container. "The leftover water you will mix with as much blood as you can offer." Finally, she gestures to the branch you had found earlier. "And this goes into the mixture of water and blood." You set to work filling the bottles with water, then carefully mixing the remaining water with blood until the concoction took on a dark, viscous consistency. The branch was then submerged into the unsettling mixture. "Now what?" you asked, looking to the witch for further instruction. "Patience," she replied, working with the glowing metal. "Try to help." Well, that's the last time I try to help. What in the billy? Did we just fall backwards? The witch labored tirelessly, her movements focused and deliberate. You offered your assistance, but she waved you away with a dismissive flick of her hand. An awkward silence descended, thick and heavy. You shifted uncomfortably, taking a few tense steps back. Suddenly, your right foot snagged on a piece of wood hidden in the shadows. You stumbled, falling heavily. The back of your head slammed against the stone where you had been sitting moments before. The world faded into darkness. An unfortunate event, but at least it was a quick end. We tripped? One of the endings in this game is literally tripping and falling. Okay, let's just watch. We're not going to try to help or interfere in any way. You watched intently, her movements surprisingly strong and precise, using the surrounding rocks as makeshift hammers and anvils. Sparks flew as she relentlessly pounded the glowing metal pieces, bending, twisting, and folding them into new and unfamiliar shapes. The metal, still hot from the fire, yielded to her will, constantly being reshaped through the long night. The resulting pieces were strange, their purpose a complete mystery to you. Hours passed, the firelight dancing according to the movements of the witch. Finally, she seemed satisfied, but as she gathered the strange metal objects, a sense of unease settled over you. Shouldn't we wait until the next night?" "The journey itself will take time," she replied, her voice firm. "It will be night by the time we reach the farm." Without another word, she gathered up all of the pieces she had forged, sharing the weight with you. Then she turned and began the long trek toward the Underwood farm, the strange metal implements clinking softly. I wonder if we can reach the good ending in another way. Because it seems like we're about to approach the farm again, and maybe she has a plan. Stealth mission. Oh, this is crazy. You reached the farm. Years of carpentry granted you the skill to pry open a gap in the fence, granting access to the colossal wooden structure that now sheltered the crops. The witch instructed you to take the stick, the one you'd soaked in water and blood, now dry and stained a disturbing reddish brown. "Hold it gently," she cautioned. As you lifted the stick by both ends, a strange sensation washed over you. The single, unheld end seemed drawn by an unseen force, tugging you, pointing directly toward a spot in the farm's center. Awe held you captive. You simply followed the pull, circling the farm's perimeter until the stick locked onto a specific direction and remained fixed. The witch, gathering her bottles and tools, declared her intention to scale the wooden wall, aiming for the precise location indicated by the stick's strange magic. Let me climb instead. Did we fall again? You took on the task, the weight of responsibility settling on your shoulders. Donning the metal-reinforced gloves and boots crafted by the witch, you began your ascent of the massive wooden structure. At first it seemed simple. Punching and kicking, you carved handholds and footholds, creating a makeshift ladder. But with each upward step, a tremor ran through you, a growing tension compounded by fatigue. The higher you climbed, the more the structure swayed and groaned under your weight. Near the summit, a disaster struck. A section of wood, unable to bear your weight any longer, splintered and broke away. The sudden shift threw you off balance, your remaining holds tearing loose chunks of wood as you desperately tried to regain purchase. You plummeted. The impact was brutal, your entire back slamming against the unforgiving ground. Your spine shattered, your skull fractured, life extinguished in an instant. The mission now rested solely in the witch's hands. We fell again. We just really need to stop getting involved. That's the moral of this story. The witch is about to just scale this thing like Ezio. She was lighter, more agile. It was the logical choice. You remained rooted to your spot, the stick still pointing, as you watched the witch affix the improvised metal tools to her hands and feet. With methodical precision, she began her ascent. Each punch and kick drove the metal points into the wood, creating a secure platform. Slowly, steadily, she climbed. Reaching the top, you tossed her the bottles filled with garlic water. She nodded, a silent promise to do her utmost to reach the farm's heart, guided by the magic stick's unwavering direction. What is this? High above the crops, the witch worked with focused precision. Using her tools, she carved a small opening between the massive logs of the wooden structure, just large enough to allow the liquid to penetrate. Carefully, she uncorked one of the bottles and poured a small amount of water inside, pausing, listening intently for any reaction. Like, that kind of reaction? It sounded like Satan stubbed his toe. Under the light of the moon, amidst the warm, silent night, a scream erupted, a sound so primal it seemed to shake the very foundations of the farm. As the structure began to tremble violently, the witch emptied the remaining bottles, pouring the liquid down the hole as if she were tormenting the wound of some colossal beast. The screams intensified, rising in a crescendo of agony. Then, just as abruptly as it began, the screaming ceased, and you saw the shadowy figure of the witch descending. Interesting. You caught her as she tumbled from the shaking structure, and together you fled, scrambling through the gap in the fence you had created earlier. From a safe distance, you watched as the massive logs began to collapse, one by one. Lights flickered on in the town as the people awoke. Startled by the apocalyptic sounds emanating from the Underwood farm, guards began to gather, drawn by the commotion. The following day, the entire area was declared off limits. The Underwood family and all the farm workers were arrested. Whispers spread through the town about the local priest being dispatched to investigate the strange and terrible events. No one suspected that their salvation had come from the mysterious solitary figure who dwelt in the woods, nor would they ever learn the true secret of the farm. As the wooden structure crumbled, you thought you saw arms flailing in the moonlight, but you dismissed it as an optical illusion. One thing, however, was no illusion: your renewed commitment to providing for the witch. You would use your skills as a carpenter to build her a new, stronger, and more comfortable hut in the woods. So we get peace, but at what cost? We know that the two beings, or I should say, at the time they arrive, the one being inside there is the mother and the baby fused together into that beast. So we basically stopped the curse or whatever it was, but we killed them along with all of the guards and all of the employees in the building. So it was basically a giant massacre for peace. Definitely not the best ending. We got a better one at the start, but still an ending of peace nonetheless. Surely the area in which I grabbed the water from would not matter, right? Fill the bucket from the center of the lake. Am I being electrocuted? You step into the cool water, the lake's surface undisturbed. Slowly you submerge yourself in the bucket, filling it from the center of the lake to ensure the water is clean and free of debris. As you turn to swim back, your feet brush against something long and smooth gliding through the water. A large fish, perhaps a catfish or a carp, is swimming lazily around. It moves with a gentle grace, triggering a ripple that spreads through the still water. Other fish, disturbed by the movement, begin to stir as well, rising toward the surface. Then you see them, dozens of them, suddenly alert, their sleek bodies shimmering in the dim light. They're startled by your size, their calm demeanor replaced by a sudden electric tension. In a flash, they unleash their defense mechanism. A jolt of raw electricity rips through the water, a violent surge that throws your body into a spasm. Every muscle in your body contracts at once, the force so powerful it feels like your bones are being crushed. Electric eels. You don't even have time to register the pain. Your body, convulsing uncontrollably, floats lifelessly on the surface. Some of these death endings are just like, oops, oops, electric eels, oops, I fell. The water around you shimmering with the residual electricity. The eels, their attack complete, disperse back into the depths, leaving your body to drift, a feast waiting to be claimed by nature. While we do know her purposes of using the blood are good, let's say no this time. What was that noise? The words hung in the air, thick with unspoken implications. Blood. The very idea sent a tremor through you. Witch. Dark woods. It was everything you'd been taught to fear since childhood. The whispered tales of dark rituals, the frantic hunts, the chilling dread that clung to the very name. You tried to reason, tried to see her as something other than the monster of folklore, but the request for your blood shattered that fragile facade. Suddenly, she was no longer a curious enigma, but a figure of nightmare. All rational thought fled, replaced by a primal terror. This wasn't just an offer, it was an invitation to hell itself. No, you breathed, the word torn from your throat. Horrified, you shook your head, unable to articulate the swirling chaos of fear and revulsion within you. How is this a misunderstanding? Huh? I just got atomized? I got mummified? The witch's reaction was immediate. She straightened, alarmed. Now I see it, she gasped, her voice laced with fear and anger. You're the one spreading the plague. You came to these woods carrying a tainted fruit, its curse flowing through your veins. You thought I was just a frail, mad woman, easily tricked, someone you could infect. Now that you see I'm your equal, you try to flee, but I won't let you leave these woods and poison everything. Oh God, this is really going bad. Mistaking you for an agent of the unseen enemy, she lunged, seizing a burning log from the fire. Years of battling the creatures of the woods had honed her into a fierce warrior. The burning wood slammed against your bones, searing your skin with each strike. As you slowed, growing dizzy, she snatched a small flask from a hidden pocket and flung its contents at you. Ouch! It was some kind of alcohol, and it instantly ignited, engulfing you in flames as the burning log struck again. Trapped, unable to escape her wrath, you were consumed by fire. The flames would ensure your tainted blood would spread no further into the woods. But the town was doomed, destined to consume the cursed harvests from the farm. Is this fruit the work of evil? It seems like every path has brand new visuals. It just makes this game so fun to try to comb through all the different endings. Evil. It's a word that's thrown around too easily, the witch says, her voice low and resonant, echoing the crackling of the fire. I've seen things that would curdle your blood, that defy any simple definition of evil. This is something different. This is danger, a raw primal danger that threatens not just you, but everyone. Even those who would see me burned at the stake. She shifts. And therein lies my dilemma. What do I gain by helping you? Do it for those who don't hate you. It's not possible, the witch says, her voice flat, devoid of any real hope. There's only hate and fear. They may swallow their prejudice for a time. They may even come to me when their own remedies fail. But it won't be out of love. It will be out of desperation. They're just afraid of death. Their fear might make them tolerate me for a while, but it doesn't mean they've suddenly learned to trust someone like me. That's very true, actually. That's probably exactly what would happen. You're one step closer to acceptance. Okay, so then this just brings us right back to the knife path. So it's just another way to get on the same road. Okay. The plague in the crops will spread. This is new. End the plague, the witch echoes, her voice laced with skepticism. Prevent its return, a noble goal, but what of reward? The town prospers, grows strong, healthy, and then they will tolerate my existence for a time, perhaps. They might even offer a fleeting word of gratitude. But in the end, they will hunt me, as they have always hunted my kind. It is their nature, it is the way of humanity. A brief respite from their fear does not change what I am in their eyes. What if it's worse than people? What is this? I see. The witch murmurs. She rises and disappears into the depths of her hut. Moments later, she emerges carrying a strange object. It's wrapped in layers of dried leaves, bound tightly with twine. She hands it to you. "Go to the Underwood farm," she instructs, her voice low and urgent. "Only then should you unwrap this. Beneath the leaves you will find a layer of resin. Use matches to ignite it. This is a prototype. I have never tested its full power. The smoke it produces, it will cleanse the land. Thank you." Or just burning the place down? Gratitude floods your heart. You bow deeply, thanking the witch from the depths of your soul. Then you turn and leave the forest, the strange object clutched tightly in your hand, the weight of your task heavy upon you. You find a secluded spot near the woods to rest, venturing into the edge of town only long enough to secure a box of matches. Night falls and the time for action arrives. You slip through the fence surrounding the Underwood farm, the silence broken only by the frantic beat of your own heart. You reach the bizarre wooden structure, the shed. It's time. You place the object on the ground and carefully peel away the layers of dried leaves. Beneath, a thick, cylindrical object resembling a crudely shaped barrel is revealed. Its surface is a patchwork of colors hinting at the strange materials within. The air is thick with the faint, minty scent of the resin. You strike a match, shielding the fragile flame from the wind with your cupped hand. The fire touches the resin and ignites. Not with a crackle, not with a sound at all. The flame spreads instantly, unnaturally, engulfing the object in a silent inferno. The heat rises in a dizzying rush, surrounding you, consuming you. In a fraction of a second, you are gone, reduced to nothing but a smoking skeleton, collapsing where you stood. The burning wind... Oh, wait, we're dead. The burning wind explodes outward, a wave of pure destruction. It sweeps across the farm, devouring the wooden structure, the crops, the Underwood house. Then it leaps beyond, tearing through the sleeping town. More than half the houses are engulfed in flames before anyone can react. Those who are spared the initial blast awaken to the screams of their neighbors trapped in a sea of fire. Their own cries are soon swallowed by the roaring inferno. By morning, nothing remains but ash and smoldering ruin. It's as if a dragon or something far more terrible has passed through, leaving only desolation in its wake. The witch, from her secluded haven in the woods, has eradicated two problems with a single, devastating stroke. The unnatural crops are gone, and so are the people who despise her. Can I stay here too? I'm gonna live here with you? The witch's muscles tightened, a glint of steel flashed as she drew a knife, the blade a cold barrier between you. "Where did you get these ideas?" she demanded, her voice laced with suspicion. "So you spoke, a voice steady through your heart hammered against your ribs." "My parents," you began, the words rough with the memory, "succumbed to an epidemic when I was just a child. I've seen disease fester, born from rats, fleas, birds, and now even the food we eat. I'm tired of it." You paused, drawing a breath. "The town grows, but so does the sickness, the dying. To survive, I became a carpenter, confined to my house since I was a boy. Every day is the same, a monotonous grind, driven by the fear of taxes, the exorbitant cost of medicine, the dread of nature's next attempt to wipe us all out. I'm tired of it all. I want to live here." You finished, your voice softer now. "And learn from nature, like you did." The witch regarded you, her expression unseen. Then she turned, and from some hidden pocket, she showed you the largest garlic clove you'd ever seen. It pulsed with a strange, vibrant energy. "The curse of that farm," she said, her voice low, "flows in your blood. You must cleanse yourself from the inside out." She held the clove. "Chew it," she instructed. "Swallow it. Only then will I believe you. Only then will I accept you as my apprentice. And know this," she added, her voice dropping, "it will not be an easy life." So do I just live with the witch now? Oh, there's the horde. The giant clove crumbled in your mouth, a fleeting burst of flavor followed by a searing, all-consuming fire. It wasn't just the pungent taste of garlic, it was something far more visceral, a burning that spread through your entire being. Breath became a struggle, but you forced the clove down, desperate for relief. Instead, the pain intensified, its source clearly beyond any natural explanation. The garlic wasn't just garlic. It was a purifying fire, burning away the accumulated corruption that had seeped into your body from the tainted vegetables. You collapsed onto the forest floor, every nerve screaming in agony. You yearned to cry out, but your voice was trapped, lost in the inferno within. All you could manage were violent tremors and a chilling sweat soaked your clothes. Everything felt unbearably, impossibly hot. Hours later, you staggered to your feet, exhausted but cleansed. The witch, her expression unreadable, accepted you as her apprentice. Her first act was not to impart arcane knowledge, but to lead you through the forest, planting garlic cloves in strategic locations. This was paramount, a desperate measure to shield the woods, to hold back the encroaching evil that festered in the town. Then came the night of the screams. You and the witch lay awake, listening to the horrifying cries echoing from the town below. It was as if the sickness long dormant had erupted all at once, plunging the population into a nightmare of suffering. Yeah, the fruit did that apparently. The cries subsided, replaced by something far more sinister. The townsfolk, twisted and contorted, began to roam the plains, hunting down those who had escaped the initial wave of affliction. They were no longer human. Something hellish had taken root within them, corrupting them from the inside out. When they had descended upon the forest, their ferocity was met by an unseen barrier. The garlic, planted with such urgency, had created a protective shield. You were safe, for now. The world you knew had become a chaotic, deadly place. But, amidst the horror, a spark of purpose ignited within you. For the first time, you felt like you were on a path of your own choosing, not one forced upon you by fate. You were on a quest to understand, to learn, to find a way to restore the ravaged lives of the people. But you knew with a chilling certainty that you could only succeed when you were finally ready. So that's kind of a good ending. We live out a peaceful life with the witch, but we don't learn the secret of the farm and truly put a stop to the essence of what is causing it. Okay, we have almost all of the endings now. We can say, is it poisoned? It's not poisoned, she explains. It's more like a plague within the food and within those who consume it. Even the fruits that appear normal, they carry it. But there are no outward symptoms, no visible signs in those who have been infected. I am certain, she says, her voice low and resonant, that all who live near the farm are contaminated by something unseen, something unknown. I have ways of discerning such things, and I can begin with you. Use me as your test subject. Okay, so this leads back to the blood knife part. Use me, I'll do anything. The urgency in your voice must have resonated with the witch, for her expression turned grim. If this has spread as I suspect, she rasped, then this entire region is tinder. We need but a spark to ignite the truth. She disappeared behind her hut and returned, dragging a pile of animal bones. With an unsettlingly calm demeanor, she arranged them on the earthen floor, piece by piece, forming a grotesque humanoid figure. Come, she commanded, her voice leaving no room for argument. Lie beside it. A chill of apprehension ran through you. Confused and more than a little frightened, you obeyed, lying down next to the skeletal puzzle. Your gaze drifted upward toward the star-dusted sky. Then she began to move the bones again, this time placing them on you, leg bones across your own, ribs mirroring your rib cage. Finally, she placed a deer skull over your face, the empty eye socket staring blankly into the night. The ritual? You are to do nothing but listen. The witch retrieves a bongo drum from her hut and begins to play, the rhythm pulsing, shifting, her voice a low chant in a language you don't understand. The sound envelops you, a vibration that seems to seep into your very bones. A strange heat rises from the animal bones that adorn your body, as if they're melding with your skin. The drumming intensifies, the beat growing louder, faster. A disorienting sensation washes over you. Your skin, your clothes, they are there, yet they feel indistinct, as if merging with everything around you, especially the bones. You feel yourself expanding, becoming lighter, less defined. You're no longer solid, but a thin, permeating liquid, flowing into the surroundings. The chant in your ears dissolves into silence, and you plunge into an abyss of sleep. Wait a minute. Did she turn us into a monster? How does this help? You awaken in the same spot. The music is gone. The hours vanished. It is time. The witch, offering no explanation, simply instructs you to gather the bones. The task feels effortless, almost dreamlike. You are light, unburdened by weight or weariness. The journey to the Underwood farm stretches for hours, yet you traverse the distance in a haze of tranquility. The over-relaxed sensation persists. Place the bones by the fence, the witch instructs. Step back, sit, and eat these. She offers dark leaves. You obey without question. Even their bitterness is muted in your tranquil state. Moments after swallowing the leaves, you are plunged into a different kind of sleep. A force pulls you, compels you upward. Your eyes snap open. Something is terribly wrong. You're a skeleton, a grotesque puppet assembled from the bones you carried. The serenity is shattered. Where before there was calm, now there's only a frenzied rush, a surge of adrenaline so potent it vibrates through your very bones. Now, the witch screams, bring down the farm, attack the walls. A surge of anxiety, nervousness, violent energy courses through you. You tear through the fence with bony fingers and charge toward the farm, clawing, biting at the strange wooden structures that protect the crops. You slash, push, tear, a whirlwind of destruction. The desperate cries of the farm workers are lost in the roar of your own frenzied violence as you tear down everything in your path. Oh, and we see... Oh, that's interesting. I didn't think they were going to show this. We find the wife and the child that have merged. A violent impulse seized you, an irresistible urge to destroy. You bit, scratched, kicked, leaping over fleeing figures, driven by a feral need to wreak havoc. A few brave souls remained even as most fled, some escaping on horseback, screaming for the guards. Farmers poked at you, attempting to inflict harm, but their efforts were futile. You were an undead creature, animated by dark magic. You tore through the crops, demolishing everything between them and the Underwood house. Soon the farmers gave up, retreating to allow dozens of guards to flood the property. But these men lacked the farmers' courage. They froze, their terror palpable as they watched you gnaw on a log before the shattered gates of the wooden structure. It wasn't just you that terrified them. It was something else, something moving in the shadows amidst the overgrown tomato plants. You turned, trying to see what they saw. In the distance, a disturbing silhouette writhed, waving countless arms like appendages emitting a distorted, chilling cry. It was rooted to the spot, connected to the plants, corrupting and cursing everything it touched. As your eyes met the glowing gaze of the beast, an electric shock surged through you. You were back in your human form, utterly exhausted, unable to move a muscle. Oh, no. That is not good timing. The skeletal form at the farm collapsed into a pile of white bones. The witch dragged you away as you heard the guards' terrified screams, charging into the darkness. Their battle raged for hours, a cacophony of horror and pain punctuated by the beast's distorted roars that shook the very air. When reinforcements finally arrived, the ground was soaked in blood, a scene that forced every able-bodied man in the town to take up arms. So I guess we did what we needed to do, and then the town charged the farm to start a big war. Over 100 lay dead when the beast's cries finally ceased. The authorities did everything in their power to conceal the terrifying event from the public. The source of the poison crops was gone, its origins left for investigators to uncover. Yeah, that last ending was technically good because we survived and stopped part of the problem, but hundreds of people being dead? Now we're just saying I'm not sure about this. "My lady," you began, your voice trembling slightly, I beg your pardon, but I cannot submit myself to these trials. They are beyond my understanding, beyond anything I've ever known. It's not my intention to offend you," you hastened to add, "but I must return to town. I will seek another way, a path more familiar." And we just get incinerated once again. Yeah, this is the incineration ending. Okay, so I think at this point we've seen every path in the game. Now we can check out the extra lore. Dr. Luca used to be a man dedicated to medicine, but the limitation of his age made him dedicate his time to learning ways to change biology to avoid the well-known diseases. His dream became an obsession so deep it stretched beyond the world, creating a link to an entity that reached him during his sleep. While Luca thought it was the voice of a superior intelligence, it was actually a form of a parasite from another realm, a dimension of which it couldn't thrive as it wanted. Fooling the human, the entity whispered secrets that led the doctor to write and keep everything documented in 3 volumes. The words were able to influence the body and behavior of small life forms, and he could also cure humans, but a willing one was ideal. He believed it would trigger a severe mutation in the subject, but the mutation would end in a new and healthier human, free of all known diseases, with this benefit spreading after maturation. But the result was a possession that slowly made the victim into a host of the parasite that created the spell. The next step would contaminate the land until the whole planet was ruled by a single hive mind. Luckily, Luca was stopped, and the host of the parasite was saved. Kind of reminds me of the parasites in Resident Evil 4, Las Plagas, but these aren't from another dimension, although they certainly spread amongst humans. There's a host one that controls them. They were just buried underground in the 14th century and then brought back to the surface in modern day. But yeah, similar parallels there. Very cool game. Again, I love these kinds of games. I think it's so fun to discover all of the different and disturbing endings. And of course, I appreciate you for being here. Thank you so much for watching. I love you all very much. Please be safe, and I'll see you in the next one.